Congress was digging on this stuff and the DOJ was stonewalling when everybody said, Jeff Sessions, what is Jeff Sessions doing? He's not doing anything. Well, he's not going to tell you what he's doing if he needs to keep the details of these investigations secret in order to not taint the outcome. Because as soon as something would have leaked, they would have said, that's partisan, you're going after them because they're Democrats, and you're big bad orange man, you're Trump, you colluded with the Russians. Hello everybody, welcome to the Dustin James Show. I am your host, Dustin James, and boy, am I excited. Let me tell you, it's a great day. If you didn't know, between the Huffington Post and BuzzFeed today, over 1,000 or right around 1,000 mainstream media reporters, I think they said basically the entire opinion staff at Huffington Post, among others, lost their jobs today. Now, do I feel great that 1,000 people are out of work? No, but what that means to me is it's happening. It's happening. The money is drying up. They've lied to us long enough. They have lied to us long enough, and it's finally coming to a head. They are going to get they're reaping what they sowed, and it's actually happening in real life. Many of us have been waiting for this for a very long time as we've seen the lies and the deception that have been foisted at us. And today we have a story about more lies and deception from the media. Excuse me. We're going to talk about Brian Cates over at the Epoch Times. If you'll have a journey with me, he's just got a wonderful thread on Twitter today, and it made me so happy. It filled my heart with joy to read this. Little tiny bio here at the Epoch Times. Brian Cates is a writer based in South Texas and an author of Nobody Asked for My Opinion, but here it is anyway. Hey, I can relate to that just a little bit. Huh? Yeah. He can be reached on Twitter at Draw and Strike, and that's what we're going to be looking at today, going over a little thread. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I'm going to have it linked in the description. Just so you know, the Epoch Times, great stuff they put out, not just Brian Cates here, but a lot of the different folks they've got writing for them. And just so you're aware, this I did a little background looking into them. I've been reading them for a while, but I thought it'd be worth it to check it out. And they publish in over 35 countries and 21 languages around the world. So I mean, this is a real organization, and they actually appear to be reporting real news. They did a lot of coverage on organ harvesting out of China, and they won awards and stuff for this. And if you don't know about that, that's a whole different ball of wax. But what we're going into today is, well, I'd love to stay distinctly American, but we're gonna bring Russia and Iran into this as well. So if we go over to Twitter, we'll see this is what Brian Cates' page looks like. Have a little scroll down there. See, he's talking about that's great. This Nathan Phillips story is getting them to, and of course, like I said, there's BuzzFeed again, part of the mass layoffs, and they're the ones heavily involved with this sort of reporting. It's great. It's wonderful. I love it. Anyway, over to the thread. We're going to talk about a few things here. Basically, here is the first tweet, and it's laying everything right out there for us. He's talking about Lee Smith making an excellent point. Given the relentless Iran mullah boosting Obama did during his 8 years in office, if the FBI used the same standard it has on Trump, then Obama needed investigating as an Iranian agent. That sounds blunt and direct, but let's get to it, because it couldn't be more true. It couldn't be more true. They've skewered Trump, and they look the other way for Hillary and Obama. We all know that they do that, and it's coming. It's actually being acknowledged, and it, like I said, it makes my heart smile. I couldn't be happier today. Basically, Brian says here he believes in Obama's second term. The bill came due for bribes that he took in the first term. Like I said, I'm not going to read you everything here. That would take too darn long, and I don't want to rip the poor guy off. But this is a poor guy. I shouldn't say that. This is a patriot. This guy has done some amazing work, and it's phenomenal. It's people like this that are earning our country back for us. And boy, I couldn't be happier. Basically, in Obama's second term, he had made bribes. I'm going to start this over from the beginning. In Obama's first term, he and Hillary Clinton worked out a deal for Uranium One, which was the sale of a Canadian uranium company that had a major stake in American uranium ore. So they were using our ore, and they wanted to be sold to a Russian company called Rosatom, or Rosatom wanted to buy Uranium One. Anyway, Hillary's State Department had to approve the sale. They did. She got, let's see, over $40 million, I think, in the ensuing years donated to the Clinton Foundation. Bill got a $500,000 check for doing a speech in Moscow right about the same time. Can we prove that they're connected? No, but $500,000 is an awful lot to give a speech. Brian goes on to say, when Trump and Sessions took over the DOJ, FBI, CIA, and DIA in February 2017, massive investigations started that entailed massive national security issues, and nothing has leaked about it. That's something else that's incredible. Over this period of time, 2 years, nothing has leaked out about these investigations, and that's important to contain the integrity, to preserve the integrity of these investigations. Nothing's leaked out, and when the final shoe does fall, it's going to be brilliant. Brian says, a lot of people think the Spygate is just FBI, DOJ letting Clinton walk and then trying to throw the election to her while sabotaging Trump's campaign. He says, wait, there's more. Way too small. Think bigger, far, far bigger. He goes on to talk about Uranium One, how there was blackmail, how there was treason, how the New York police, when they arrested Anthony Weiner for texting a 15-year-old girl pictures of his junk, recovered his laptop. And there were some secrets on that laptop. Famously, it's been reported that there was a file called insurance on that laptop. And once again, I'm not going to speculate what kind of things are in that file, but I've been told they're not told. I don't have any inside sources. The scuttlebutt is that it's damaging and undeniable proof of wrongdoing by Hillary, Huma, Anthony Weiner, that sort of thing. Brian says those investigations couldn't happen because of the people that it would implicate, along with the Uranium One business. We're talking about Project Cassandra, which, if we look over here, was all the way back in 2008. See, they were setting this was the road was being paved for this Uranium One deal as soon as Obama became president. And back in 2008, essentially, I'll leave a link in the description for this, but there was a campaign called Project Cassandra launched by the DEA. Basically what they were doing was tracking networks of cocaine drug traffickers from the Middle East, where they were manufacturing the drugs, shipping them over to America, or well, I guess through Latin America, up through Mexico, up through the southern border. Wonder why we want to wall people. Up through the southern border into the United States, where they were distributing the drugs, selling them. They were then, this is incredible, they would buy used cars, ships full of used cars to launder the money, and they would send the cars over to Africa where they could sell them for cash, and now their money's clean. It's brilliant. So essentially, the DEA tracked all of this. They had them dead to rights in the Obama administration, and the DOJ would not prosecute the people that were referred to them by these DEA investigators working on Project Cassandra. It's just more roadblocks, and they were doing that because Iran needs Hezbollah protected, and if you want to make a deal with Russia to buy uranium, who's going to sell it to Iran, you can't piss off Iran. It's the final consumer. If you're trying to sell something to somebody, you don't stomp on their toe and say, hey, sign on the dotted line. All right. They were looking out for Iran. Project Cassandra. That's the beautiful thing about the internet, folks. all of this stuff exists. All of it exists, but nobody scrutinizes it, except for the few people who are out there. They're putting it all together. And the brilliant part is they've been tenacious enough. I'm not going to claim to be one of them. These people are way smarter than I am or ever could hope to be. But these people who have been putting together have been working tediously and tirelessly for years and years. And you could argue this goes back to JFK being assassinated. I mean, this is brilliant. And there have been people that have been working on these sort of stories for that long. And I do believe it's finally coming to a head, and it is going to be glorious. He also mentions when he says that this stuff is way bigger. If you may or may not have heard of Imran Awan, who was spying on House members in the United States Congress. He was running the media servers for the DNC. I mean, they've got their hands in everything. They've got their hands in everything. Brian says, once you pull the lid off Pandora's box and go public with investigations and the evidence on Spygate, it's going to directly lead to all the other stuff being investigated. And he's talking about Project Cassandra, Uranium One, and he's talking about Imran Awan, talking about Anthony Weiner's laptop, talking about the Clinton Foundation. The lid's going to blow on this stuff, guys, and it's going to be phenomenal. The key witnesses from the national security investigations that have been ongoing have been withheld. Congress is screaming for this information, or at least they were when it was a Republican Congress. You had Devin Nunes running around, Trey Gowdy like chickens with their heads cut off. They wanted access to this information. That's all documented. You can go back to, summer 2017, even earlier than that for Devin Nunes, and they were digging on this stuff. Congress was digging on this stuff, and the DOJ was stonewalling when everybody said, Jeff Sessions, what is Jeff Sessions doing? He's not doing anything. Well, he's not going to tell you what he's doing if he needs to keep the details of these investigations secret in order to not taint the outcome. Because as soon as something would have leaked, they would have said, that's partisan, you're going after them because they're Democrats, and you're big bad orange man, you're Trump, you colluded with the Russians. It was Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama that colluded with the Russians to sell them uranium that was America's, which they would in turn around and sell to Iran, who would furnish nuclear weapons, well, to themselves and or Hezbollah. And if you don't think that they would do something like that, here's a wonderful story from October last year, where Iran literally sends Hezbollah GPS parts to turn their crappy little shoulder-fired rockets, which why the hell do they got shoulder-fired rockets in the first place? That's bad enough. GPS! Now they're guided missiles. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Guided missiles for a terrorist organization. Just think about that for a second. Who are they going to fire them at? I mean, it's going to be Israel in this case, I would imagine. But that's all Iran does, is funnel money to Hezbollah. Why do you think Obama sent pallets full of cash, at least $1.5 billion, but the estimates are much higher than that, and how much cash he potentially sent over to Iran? And what are they going to do? They're going to turn around and give it to Hezbollah. Now, if you read up on the story, well, I shouldn't even say that, because if you read up on it, that's exactly what you'll read. But the counter from people that says, Barack Obama's not supporting terrorists, they're going to say, well, that was Iran's money anyway. Well, they are technically correct about that, but the money was frozen. The assets were frozen by the United States. Why were the assets frozen by the United States? Because Iran is a giant sponsor of terrorism in the Middle East, and we don't want people being blown up. Moving on. This is just brilliant. I mean, it's happening. I do believe it's happening, folks. And when this comes out, it's going to be a beautiful day for humanity. That's all I have to say. I'm super excited. You should be too. If you believe in God, pray. Otherwise, just let your heart smile. It's a wonderful day. That has been the Dustin James Show. I am your host, Dustin James. You can find me on Twitter at Dustin James Show, or you can email me, Gmail, DustinJamesShow@gmail.com. As I said, it's a wonderful day. Thank you for giving me the pleasure of going through this with you, and we'll see you next time.